So the next step here is to share the coordinates between these two drawings. That little set of blue dots that we looked at earlier in the site plan needs to be reconciled. You can see in our building file the survey point and the base point are here, but in the linked file our survey point and our base point are here. And what we want to be able to do is link this file in both directions. I want to link the site into the building and have it show up in the right place every time, just like we moved it there. But now that we've got them related, we want to take that data and we want to shove it back into the site plan so that when we bring the building in, it knows where to relate this thing and it will show up in exactly the right place. So here's how we do that. Open up your site plan like I've got here, and what we need to do is we need to select this linked plan and name it. We're going to go into the properties palette where it says name, and instead of calling it just number 1, we're going to call it site. And I'm going to apply that. Okay, and what that does is now the site has a name. This object is called site, and that the project file, the commercial file, recognizes that is the site plan. It recognizes it's a plan its name is site. And then what we're going to do is, selecting it again, we're going to click on this where it says not shared. So then the other step that I need to do is I need to rename the coordinate point. So if I click the shared site button, and I'm going to say click the not shared, I'm going to say acquire, and then I'm going to say change, because what I want to do is name the positioning of this site. And so currently it's called internal current. This is sort of the generic one. I'm going to rename that, and instead of calling it internal, I'm going to call it the way the book does. It's commercial site location. And I'm going to add the word topo to the end of this just so we don't forget which one is which, because there's a whole bunch of things that are called site. And so this is the location of the topography. And so I'm going to click OK, and then I'm going to click OK, and then make sure it says it acquire, and I'm going to say reconcile. What that does is it pulls the information from the site plan and takes our survey point and puts it at the same location as the site plans and survey point. And so now it remembers how far apart these two dots are, so that every time it brings our work in there, it's going to bring it in the right place. The information, though, is actually stored in the site plan. That's why you can't leave the site plan open, because it has to force that information back into an external file, and it actually has to run an operation on that file. It can't do that if that file is open at the same time. So now that that's done, I can go down here. I want to look at something. If I click my survey point, this is the survey point in my current file. And what I see here is that the survey point for the internal file is now set right at 0. This point no longer is going to read 0. This point is like 200 something, and it's got some stuff, and it says the elevation is 84 feet. So what's happened now is this point is actually like been moved without actually moving anything else. It doesn't appear to be moved, but actually the relationship between these 2 points is moved. Okay, so the next step to this is actually to put the base point at a logical place. And so if I select this and it says 281 whatever, and if I move it, watch what happens. Those numbers will update, 250 now, right? And so as I move it over, and I'm going to put it right here at the location of these two lines, so that it's, whoops, I want to get it right on that intersection of A1, of columns A1. And now, if you did the same thing that I did, your numbers will be exactly the same as mine. 245 in 1964 and 253, 6 and 129, 256 with an elevation of 84 feet. Okay, and so that's what's happened there. Now, if we look at this in 3D, we don't have a station point showing in 3D. So I guess we could turn that on, but I'm not gonna go down that road right now. All right, so that gets us the relationship that we need. Now, the other thing that we want to do is in our site plan, we typically want to show that as true north. And so this is a property of the view. And so here at orientation, I can say project north. I can also say true north. And that's a property of the site plan view. And so now when you click this, you'll see it points straight up. Okay. And if we go to level 1, then we're still orthogonal to the page, which is how we would represent the building when we print or when we're talking about just the building. But when we're talking about the site, we would want to talk about true north. Okay. Now there's another field here that we can play with, which is the location button, and you can actually locate this project in different places. I'm not going to go through that right here on the screen, but I do want to go ahead and jump over to get the site now to recognize our building. So to do that, I have to save this file, and I'm going to save it. You have changed the current position, and what do you want to do? I'm going to save, whoops. Okay, so now that I've saved it, now I want to close this file, and I want to open my site plan. So I'm going to go back to the commercial site drawing, and you'll recall this plan had a topography in it, so I should still see that. I've got datum and street level topo, so I should still see my topography when I'm in 3D. And let's make sure it's there. Yes, it is. So now what I want to do is I want to bring the commercial building file and place it in here. And all that work we did to try and get it positioned just carefully should come in with it. So let's make sure that works. Insert, link the Revit file. I want to get the commercial building this time. And I don't have it in the right place, so this could actually cause quite a few problems. I'm going to fix that first. I'm going to go ahead and open the correct drawing up again, commercial. Because remember, I want it to be in the same folder on my desktop. So it says Revit could not really read one reference. What do you want to do? Open and correct the problem. Commercial, I think it's the commercial site. That was a little error message I had. It says status not found. I want to select it and I want to say reload from. This is because I didn't have them in the right folder. So I'm going to say reload from here. The link cannot be uploaded because it's loaded into another open document. That's because I have it open. So you see, you can't, there's a lot of little ins and outs here. You don't want to have it open while you're trying to load it. This is because I was trying to go a little too quickly. It's okay. Now, I want to go to my site and see it's still in the right place, it's just the file didn't load. So I'm going to go over here to insert and I'm going to say manage links, and this is the file that I need to reload from, and I need to reload it from here. I'm going to say okay, and it should show up. There's my site again. Okay, so this is my commercial building and I need to save it in the right location. File, save as, project, and I'm going to go save it. I don't want to save it back in the chapter 6 folder. I want to save it on, I made this other folder called commercial, and that's where it should live. So I'm going to save it there. Alright, so now I can close it. It's saved in the right place, and I'm going to go and open my site drawing. And they're both in the same folder. So now what I can do is I'm going to say insert Revit link, and I'm going to go find that commercial drawing. That's the one that I want. And remember, the site plan is the one we're in, so it's not going to bring its own self. It's not going to bring the site plan into itself. It's going to leave that part behind. And I click open, and it should show up right in the right place, and it didn't. So why not? Let's take a look again. I'm going to undo that. It tells me it can't redo an undo link. So I'm going to undo the link. And I'm going to say link Revit. And here's why, is because I didn't change this. Internal origin to internal origin is not correct. What I need to do is by shared coordinates. And that will then put it in the right place. Let's see if I go to 3D, let's hope. There it is in the right place. So that solves our problem. So a couple little hiccups to look out for. You want to make sure both files are in the same folder. You want to make sure you've only got one file open at a time. And when you do this link Revit, you definitely want to make sure you're using the shared coordinates. And that's how we work with that. In the next unit, we'll talk about doing this with the structural information. So I'm going to go ahead and save this file, and that's our lesson for the day.